School students across the state have raised much-needed funds for struggling farmers by ditching their uniforms in favour of casual clothes. They each donated a gold coin as part of the Adopt a Farmer campaign. The money is going to rural aid to distribute $100 Visa cards to thousands of families doing it tough.
It's very hard for them and because they have a drought.
If you'd like to contribute, there's a link on our website.
So about 4:45 p.m. yesterday, Tuesday the 7th of May 2019, on Morn Street at Lidcombe, a 66-year-old male was riding his motorbike along Morn Street when he was struck by a silver or white Toyota Corolla. The driver failed to stop at the scene and continued leaving the driver, not assisting the driver at the scene. Unfortunately, the 66-year-old male from Camaray died at the scene and he was unable to be revived. Police are appealing for any witnesses who were in the area at the time to come forward, and we're urging the driver of the white or silver Toyota Corolla to hand themselves in at the nearest police station so they can be spoken to further.
We've seen imagery of this driver stopping very briefly before taking off. How do you describe behaviour like that?
So the driver would be aware that they crashed into this motorcycle. It's very callous. Unsure why the driver didn't stop at the scene and render any aid to the person. So that's why we are urging that driver to come forward.
Is there any description of the driver?
She's believed to be an Asian female.
And in terms of the injuries to this poor rider, obviously fairly horrific.
Yes, I would believe they would be horrific. There was witnesses at the scene who did come forward and did render aid to the cyclist.
And what have they been able to tell you just about how this impact happened, the witnesses?
So the witnesses have indicated that the vehicle, and the CCTV also indicates that the driver came from behind and collided with the push bike rider.
Do you think the driver was in any doubt of what had occurred?
I would believe that they would definitely understand what occurred.
Just how much, people panic, and we see this time and time again, but how much better is it for everyone involved if you stop and sort it out?
It's better at the time because they could render aid to the person at the time, but obviously their crashes, sometimes it's very, very unfortunate that they occur, but the person does need to stop and take responsibility for their actions.
What would you say to this driver, given the number of witnesses you have and the amount of CCTV and such collected?
So we have a number of investigators looking at this crash. We're out getting CCTV footage, so it won't be long and we will be knocking on that driver's door. So I'd urge that driver to attend the nearest police station as soon as possible to hand themselves in.
And anyone who, say, family members who might suspect it, they're not doing them any favours by keeping quiet?
No, they can contact Crime Stoppers, or they can obviously approach that person themselves and take them to the police station.
And I guess how distressing for the witnesses as well, trying to help that the injured person and then trying to figure out who the driver was.
Yeah, it's very distressing in those circumstances. Even when the driver does stop, it's very distressing for all involved, for the emergency services and the people around. So just to think that the person didn't stop and render any aid to that person is very distressing for all involved.
What can you tell us about this rider? Were they heading home? Do you know, any details about them?
I don't know too much about the rider. The rider was from Camaray in the Lidcombe area, so I'm unsure where he was riding to at the time.
He was on a bicycle, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
On the road or footpath, like it's come off the footpath, do you know the circumstances?
No, at this stage I believe he was riding on the road.
But not doing anything wrong?
No, just riding the push bike.
The Labor leader putting family first.
She's brilliant. And that's what drives me.
angry and hurt.
But I'm glad she wasn't here today to read that rubbish. Just rubbish.
Over an article published in the Daily Telegraph accusing Mr Shorten of leaving out details of his late mother's career during a television interview.
Who do some of these lazy people think they are? That because they think that I explained myself at Q&A on a Monday night, that they play gotcha shit about your life story, more importantly my mum's.
Mr Shorten explained his mother began her career as a teacher, putting her ambitions aside to support her family. She later returned to university in her 50s to study her true passion, law.
But she discovered in her mid-50s that sometimes you're just too old.
It's a story he's called on before, including 2 weeks ago on this campaign, to explain his policies on age discrimination in the workplace and equal opportunities in education.
I can hear my mum now say, don't worry about that rubbish.
This election is not about our families. It's not about Bill's mum. It's not about my mum, you know.
After sharing a rare emotional response with voters, the Labor leader is back out campaigning, a warm-up ahead of tonight's main event when he takes on the Prime Minister in the third and final Leaders' Debate. The Prime Minister warming up his pitch on business owners.
They'll be the one calling the shots, not you. I want you to keep your choices in running your business.
Both taking to the streets.
We love you, we love you, we love you.
Oh, that'd be lovely. Yeah.
Before they fight it out tonight, and just one emerges the winner on May 18. Miley Hogan, 7 News.
A Sydney man who stabbed his wife 14 times after finding out she was having an affair has been convicted of murder. 36-year-old Shahab Ahmad committed the crime in a jealous rage before confessing to a 000 operator. Leonie Ryan has been covering the case.
Good afternoon. Well, after a 2-week trial including damning evidence against Shahab Ahmad, Justice Monica Schmidt has found him guilty of murder. He never denied killing Qantas Farahi Alahi by stabbing her 14 times inside their Parramatta unit in 2017, but he claimed he was substantially impaired because of his depressive illness. While the judge did note he may have been affected at the time, it wasn't as severe as he claimed it to be, and that it wasn't enough to impair his ability to control himself. The court heard his wife was having an affair with a friend of his, which had been going on for over 2 years.
She had an affair with my friend.
He thought it was over, but after seeing a sexual text message between the pair, he was consumed by rage and killed her. In the months leading up to her death, he searched on Google punishments for infidelity, and after he had stabbed her, he posted on social media and had a cigarette before calling 000.
So what happened to your wife there tonight?
I killed her.
How did you do that?
With a knife.
Now, throughout this trial, Ahmad hasn't shown any emotion but wiped away tears when the judge went through the details of their rocky marriage, and he stared straight ahead when the verdict was read out.
Knew him very well. Never expected.
Now, a sentencing date is yet to be set, but Shahab Ahmad is facing the possibility of life behind bars.
5 men have been arrested over the murder of Tyrone Beecham, whose body was found in bushland north of Taree last year. Detectives moved in on homes in Taree at about 7 o'clock this morning, arresting 4 men aged from 19 to 24. An hour and a half later, a 42-year-old man was taken into custody at Taree Police Station. It's alleged Tyrone was killed while at a social gathering in Taree on Christmas Day, with his body found 2 days later.
It will be alleged in court that an argument ensued in regards to some property and that 2 of the men beat Tyrone, one with a steel bar, that resulted in severe head injuries and ultimately his death.
2 men are being charged with Tyrone's murder, 2 with being accessories after the fact, and 1 with concealing a serious crime. A 24-year-old Greens activist who attacked the Prime Minister with an egg has kept her job for the time being. Her employer has launched an internal investigation into yesterday's incident at a Country Women's Association event in Albury. Tegan Dolling explains.
Good afternoon. Activist Amber Holt has kept her job here at Cotton in Albury for now, despite being charged with assaulting the Prime Minister. The incident occurred just across the road at the Albury Entertainment Centre as Scott Morrison was meeting members of the Country Women's Association yesterday morning. It's alleged she threw an egg at the Prime Minister's head, which just missed him. She was taken down by his security team and the Australian Federal Police. A woman was also knocked down in the confrontation. The CWA has released a statement saying 60-year-old Margaret Baxter was shaken but is okay. We do not condone this form of protest and are unhappy this individual used our conference as a platform to air their grievances. Cotton On Group has launched an internal investigation saying that her behaviour does not align with company values. The 24-year-old will appear in court in 3 weeks' time, charged with common assault and possessing a prohibited drug.
He claims to have loved her, but he took her life. Shahab Ahmad now faces the prospect of spending the rest of his behind bars, all because Kondkar Alahi wanted a divorce.
She had an affair with my friend.
That friend was Omar Khan, and it had been going on for over 2 years. Ahmad searched the internet for ways to punish his wife and argued with her about it at their Parramatta unit in February 2017.
And then haphazardly, I just started stabbing her.
He had 2 cigarettes and posted on social media before calling 000.
So what happened to your wife there tonight?
I killed her
How did you do that?
with knife.
The judge rejected his defence that he was substantially impaired because of depressive illness. He repeatedly stabbed her in one episode of murderous rage. He watched her until she stopped breathing. He made sure she was beyond help before calling 000. Throughout this trial, Shahab Ahmad hadn't shown any emotion until today. As the judge went through the details of their tumultuous marriage in the hours leading up to her death, he wiped away tears.
He was a work colleague with me for 2012 and knew him very well. Never expected. Thank you.
Shahab Ahmad will learn his fate in the coming months. Leonie Ryan, 7 News.
Riding along the footpath, these are the final moments of Raymond Rawiri's life. Seconds later, he was hit by a car. The driver didn't stop.
It's very callous just to think that the person didn't stop and render any aid to that person is very distressing for all involved.
Security cameras captured what happened after the impact. The car pulls over with the man's bike still wedged under the wheel. She reverses to dislodge it, then, without even getting out, takes off, leaving Mr. Rawiri to die in the gutter.
Everybody makes mistakes, but she could have stopped, could she?
The person does need to stop and take responsibility for their actions.
Other people did help. One pulled up in front of the wrecked bike. It had been dragged 50 metres from where the 66-year-old cameraman died. The car police are looking for is a late 2000s model silver Toyota Corolla sedan. It had pre-existing damage to the front left bumper, but would now have fresh damage to the front and rear. The woman behind the wheel is described as of Asian appearance, possibly in her 30s. Police are now going through dozens of hours of security video from not just the crash scene, but surrounding streets as well. They're confident that will hold the evidence to figuring out who this driver is.
It won't be long and we will be knocking on that driver's door.
Andrew Denny, 7 News.
Police have arrested 18 people across Sydney southwest over a daycare fraud syndicate allegedly rorting millions. Evan Batten is at Fairfield Police Station for us tonight. Evan, how sophisticated is this?
Well, Mark, it's about as brazen and sophisticated as it gets, simply claiming cash subsidies for children that don't exist. Both the directors and employees of this chain of childcare centres have been ripping off taxpayers for years, police will allege. Fraud worth $5 million and counting. Police will allege they claimed subsidies for non-existent children, but it was anything but child's play. I'm told sophisticated enough to rival the most high-level criminal groups. And after an 8-month investigation, hundreds of police from State Crime Command raided homes across Marylands and Granville this morning, arresting 18 people and charging them with participating in a criminal group. Fraud charges are expected to follow soon, and the accused will be in court in the coming weeks.
The retail gauge on climate change. Air conditioner sales. Joe Tubia can tell you it wasn't only heatwave records being broken over summer.
We just can't keep up with the influx of inquiries and installations that are required.
Sales that helped fuel a summer demand for power that led to the highest underlying energy prices in state history.
It's obviously the time both when demand is high and supply tends to run into issues.
An expert report cites three causes: higher gas and coal prices, drought impacting hydro generation, and that record summer heatwave.
I actually expect prices to soften a little bit.
The news comes as no surprise to the industry. Historic summer temperatures were always going to be followed by enormous energy use, but now moves within the new New South Wales Parliament to explore an entirely different energy source. Nuclear power. On One Nation's first day in Parliament, a push to allow local uranium mining and build a reactor.
If you used all the uranium we export overseas, you'd power up the entire Australian economy. So why aren't we part of nuclear?
It's proven to be the most expensive, the most catastrophic form of power, literally destroying whole cities.
It's going to be a long debate. Chris Reason, 7 News.
As the Queen hosted a lunch with Prince Philip at Windsor Castle, outside a band played in honour of her newest great-grandchild. Born on Tuesday, the son of Prince Harry was the topic of conversation.
So life is good for you, Your Majesty. Thank you. Congratulations and other great-grandchildren.
But while the newest royal lives just a kilometre away at Frogmore Cottage, the monarch has not yet met him. Neither have his excited uncle and aunt.
I'm very pleased and glad to welcome my brother to the Sleep Deprivation Society that is parenting.
And not even they have a clue what he'll be called.
I look forward to meeting him and finding out what his name's going to be.
Prince Charles hasn't met his grandson either. He's in Berlin with wife Camilla, surprising everyone by delivering his first public words about the birth in German.
Wieder einmal in Berlin.
It's also really a particular pleasure to be in Berlin again, especially as a grandfather of a newborn grandson.
And while we don't yet know the baby's name or even what he looks like, the town of Windsor is awash with blue. For the residents of Windsor, this royal baby means a little more than most, because this little boy will live here, likely go to school in the area. The Sussexes are now part of the local community. The Queen and Prince Philip are regularly out and about, but fuss for the young royals will be different, despite promises from locals.
They may nip out into Windsor to get something. I don't think anybody would take a blind bit of notice of them if they did.
Well, it's good to have a dream.
Let's go to Laurel Irving in Windsor once again. Laurel, not long till the world meets the new baby.
No, just a few hours now, Mark. 2 days after he entered the world, the royal baby will make his debut in a very special media call here at Windsor Castle. I think, judging by the weather, it might be inside. Of course, this is just the first of probably thousands of such events for the baby through his lifetime, but this one will be special, won't it? These pictures will go around the world almost immediately. Very tightly controlled, 2 cameras, 1 press photographer and no questions, although we are hoping for a couple of comments from the new parents. And hopefully we'll have a name. And of course, if we do, I'll have all of the details for you on the latest on 7 a little after 11 tonight, Mark.
We will be watching, Laurel. Thank you.
When he was in the full grip of ice, Shannon Speechley attacked his partner, the mother of his 3 children.
How much of that was you? How much of that was the ice?
It was all the ice. You know, I weren't brought up like that. I was brought up to protect the women.
Spending $1,000 a day, he'd stay awake for 9 days at a time. He named and shamed himself on Facebook to break his addiction.
I lost all self-respect and my morals went out the window. I became homeless and started living out of my car.
On day 2 of its public hearings, the special inquiry into ice heard survivors' stories.
I haven't met one addict that hasn't been through domestic violence, sexual abuse, you name it.
Only 3 of the witnesses with a lived experience of ice agreed to speak publicly today about their evidence. They are among the lucky ones, unlike the 1,500 ice users who have died in the last decade, most from the toxic effects of the drug. One service provider told us they get 12 referrals for help every day, plus walk-ins.
I think the government's got to do more consultation with the community and look at the community
of those seeking help. The inquiry's Sydney hearing continues tomorrow. Brian Seymour, 7 News.
There's been a new case of measles reported in Sydney. A young woman was diagnosed after a recent visit to Southeast Asia. She spent time in the CBD and used public transport between Town Hall and Artarmon in late April and early May. It's not known if she'd been vaccinated.
2 years after losing Sarah, mother Julie, stepfather Mark, recounting that terrible moment.
It's always going to leave a massive hole in our heart.
It's like having a heart attack when we found out.
Sarah Zelenak was the youngest of 8 innocent victims on London Bridge and at Borough Market when 3 terrorists ploughed a van into pedestrians and went on a stabbing spree. Sarah ran towards the crashed van. She was out with 2 friends after being given the night off from work as an au pair. Her mother told the court every sliding door slid for Sarah to be in harm's way.
There's no anger.
Well, that's what they want though, isn't it? Love, like, if that's what they want, more anger, more fighting, more. I'm not going to do that. I absolutely refuse. No, we have to come together. Love will always win over hate.
South Australian Kirsty Bowden was working as a nurse in London and went to help one of the victims when she too was attacked. Her boyfriend saying, "I'm still head over heels in love with Kirsty. I miss her so much." The judge said it was 10 minutes of high and terrible drama. The terrorists described as barbarians. The 8-week inquest will also examine failings by authorities. Why was London Bridge still without railings to protect pedestrians just weeks after a similar attack on Westminster Bridge? And why was one of the terrorists already on an MI5 watch list? In London, Hugh Whitfeld, 7 News.
The Premier returned to the House with a fresh mandate and a new attack strategy.
Before I was interrupted by the acting interim leader of the opposition in the lower house.
Without a permanent leader, Shadow Treasurer Ryan Park is filling in. Labor can't commit to a replacement for Michael Daly until after the federal election.
They're actually saying we rather support Bill Shorten getting elected as Prime Minister rather than giving the people of New South Wales a strong opposition.
The opposition attacks did seem unusual.
My question is to the Premier. Do you maintain that you were the girl ducks of your high school in every year?
No.
Sorry, I'm ruling that question.
I never have and I never will.
But video shows Ms Berejiklian said this in 2017.
I went to a co-educational high school and we had a girl ducks and a boy ducks. So I was the girl ducks every year, so I can't claim to be the ducks throughout all the time, but I was the girl ducks.
I repeat the response. I've never claimed that, others have, and I've corrected the record when that incorrect record has been made.
But the people of New South Wales made sure you were the ducks of New South Wales.
The opposition attack is straight out of the election playbook, but it comes too late to help save state Labor, which will soon be focusing on its own internal election to finally choose a new leader. Sean Berry, 7 News.
A new era for Qantas takes off.
Sit back and enjoy the world's first zero-waste flight.
QF 739 from Sydney to Adelaide, the start of a much longer journey to reduce the flying kangaroo's footprint on land.
We all know there is too much plastic. We all know we've got to address it.
From digital boarding passes to biodegradable food and drink containers, every in-flight product will be reused, recycled or composted, removing 1,000 single-use plastics from landfill.
We're handing out every individual item, so we're seeing so much and how much of it goes to waste.
This really should be the only difference passengers notice when their food and drink is served in the clearly different packaging, and that's the whole idea. Qantas is determined to reduce its waste, but not the level of service on board. Every year, the airline produces waste equivalent in weight to 80 fully laden 747 jumbo jets, 30,000 tonnes of landfill, and the aim is to reduce that by 75% in 2 years.
It's a lot of change for us, but it's essential that we do it.
Every Qantas and Jetstar flight's expected to be waste-free by the end of 2021.
It's a massive step forward today. It shows that it can be done.
Alex Hart, 7 News.
Parents are being warned about the potential risks of baby slings following the death of a 3-week-old boy on the Central Coast. Little Harvey died after being carried in a fabric sling last month. Child safety experts say they shouldn't be used with children younger than 4 months, and parents should research how to fit them properly.
If you can see the face, you can lean over and kiss the baby, then you're in view at all time.
They're calling for national safety standards for the devices.
Lunchtime at Road Station, an elderly man sways, then topples from the platform. Instantly, onlookers react, waving frantically as a train approaches.
It's a heart-stopping moment for everybody there.
It's chaos, and within seconds, several people jump down to the tracks to help him.
It is a dangerous situation all round. We could have seen a lot of people killed. Very brave. Please keep in mind, go to our professional staff first and foremost, notify them.
The train driver has seen the commotion and stopped. A group forms around the man.
Obviously, you make that reaction to try and save someone's life, but you've got to consider the other things around you, which could put you at risk. I'd hate to think if another train came the other way, there could have been more serious incidents.
Paramedics arrive and thankfully everyone is okay. Then last month, a man holding crutches stops at the bottom of the platform stairs at Mortdale. He faints, falling backwards, cutting his head. Onlookers rush to help. While they can be due to unavoidable medical issues, Sydney Trains says these incidents also lead to delays. So far this year, around 50 commuters have fallen ill, and that in turn has impacted around 260 peak time services. Authorities say if you're feeling unwell, avoid the trains or get help straight away, especially with the colder months and flu season on their way. Nina Stevens, 7 News.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have just introduced their son to the world. 7 Europe correspondent Laurel Irving is live in Windsor with the latest. Laurel, good evening. We've just heard from Harry and Meghan.
And doesn't it feel like we've been waiting such a long time for this? And this was something that was very different to what we saw after the birth of William and Kate's children. Nothing like the media frenzy on the Lindo wing. This was a very subdued, controlled affair inside Windsor Castle. Clearly bleary-eyed new parents, but absolutely besotted with their little son, who perfectly slept through the whole thing.
It's magic. It's pretty amazing, and I mean, I have the two best guys in the world, so I'm really happy. He has the sweetest temperament. He's really calm, and
I don't know where he gets that from.
yeah, and he's just been the dream. So it's been a special couple days.
Who does he take after? Does he look like anyone?
We're still trying to figure that out.
His looks are changing every single day.
Yeah.
So who knows? It's only been what, 2.5 days, 3 days.
Yeah.
But we're just so thrilled to have our own little bundle of joy, and to be able to spend some precious times with him as he slowly starts to grow up. And I hear you're off to see two special people in a minute.
Yes.
The Queen and the Duke.
Yes, and we just bumped into the Duke as we were walking by, which was so nice. So it'll be a nice moment to introduce the baby to more family, and my mom's with us as well. So it's been a really cool.
Another great grandchild.
Yes.
Can we have a little peek at him? We just can't quite see his face. Wow. He's already got a little bit of facial hair as well. Wonderful. Just in the family. Guys, thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And thank you everybody for all the well wishes and the kindness. It just means so much. Thank you.
Well, Laurel, some lovely moments there with Meghan and Harry and their bub. You can't help but feel a little awkward for the royal couple, though, do you, though, having to show off and parade the baby like that, Laurel?
Can you imagine a couple of days and they would have had no sleep, they would be completely overwhelmed. And Meghan, I think that's the first, probably the most human I've seen her. She clearly had dressed up, she'd even put heels on, but look, it's those first few days as a new parent, as we know, are so tough. It doesn't matter who you are, you can be a member of the royal family and a famous actress, but they're very tough. And still calling him Baby Sussex, we still don't have a name.
Yeah. So what do we know there, Laurel? Any clue, any indication, or what's the protocol?
Well, as Harry and Meghan just said, just after they gave that little media call, they went to meet the Queen and to introduce her to their son for the first time. And so they'll probably release his name in the next few hours. They did need to wait until he met the Queen. She has to formally approve the name, so that's clearly why they wanted to go through these steps. But I suspect they will release it in the next couple of hours and wrap it up, and they can go back to their little bubble of being a family of 3.
All right, well, if that happens as we're on air with this show, we'll cross straight back to you. But very briefly, Harry's still going away on royal business that was announced last week?
Yep, that's the plan. That's been cut back to just one day now. He'll fly to The Hague to launch the official one-year countdown to the Invictus Games. It's something he helped set up. He feels very passionately about it. He wants to be there, but it'll just be a quick day trip. That's the sort of thing you can do when you're in Europe, and then he'll be back to his wife and child.
All right, they're beautiful images that we're seeing now. Laurel, thank you for that. We'll cross back to you in case we learn the name. Yeah. So we'll check in with you. Thank you, Laurel Irving of Windsor. Investigations are underway after the body of a man was retrieved from a sewage tank at Wynnum in Brisbane. Our reporter Sarah Greenhalgh is on the scene for us this evening. Sarah, good evening. Take us through tonight's police operation.
Good evening, Michael. Well, investigators have stressed to us that the process to retrieve this man's body was certainly far from a simple one. It was discovered this morning by some contract workers. They arrived here at the sewage pump station in Wynnum to carry out some routine maintenance work. They found this body, immediately contacted police, and this operation began late this afternoon. The first step was vacuuming out some of the sewage waste so that 2 police divers in special contamination suits could then get down into that holding tank. They were assisted by some Queensland Fire and Emergency Rescue workers. They were down there for about half an hour, locating, wrapping and then pulling out this body that they managed to hoist up just after 6 o'clock this evening. Then those poor police divers had to go back a second time in a bid to try and find some evidence. Detectives have also been door-knocking homes in the area this evening as they try to find some witnesses, Michael.
And what about his name? Any word on his identity?
There's no official word on that yet this evening. We are told that the formal identification process will likely take place sometime tomorrow, but detectives do have some idea of who they suspect this man could be. They say the body may have been down in this holding tank for up to 2 weeks. Interestingly, this facility is only checked every couple of weeks. Homicide detectives are involved in this case, and we are expecting that they will give us some sort of update on the case tomorrow, Michael.
All right, Serena Greenhalgh in Brisbane. Thank you for that this evening. A man's been arrested after allegedly attacking a 14-year-old schoolgirl. Let's bring in Tom Chadwick. Now, Tom, what happened here?
Well, Michael, good evening to you. This truly sickening attack was caught on mobile phone vision yesterday afternoon outside of the Werribee McDonald's, in the car park of the Werribee McDonald's. And really, this attack on this 14-year-old is in 4 parts. You can hear the man get verbal against her, then all of a sudden he starts to push her, and then inexplicably it turns into punching her, and then finally, Michael, as you can see on this disturbing vision, he headbutts her, which obviously brings in other people to break up this would-be fight. Now, it's Channel 7 Melbourne's understanding that all of these people in this video are known to each other. This 14-year-old actually attends school with this man's stepdaughter. So we understand this is a long-standing childhood or schoolyard dispute, if you will. I'm certainly not excusing what this man did, but clearly these scenes are extremely unsavoury, and it has boiled over, unfortunately, outside of Werribee McDonald's.
We do have an interview. The teenager's mother said that she certainly struggled to watch the video. It is difficult. Let's hear from her now.
Vile, just vile. I just don't understand how a grown man can lose his temper and do that to a child.
So, Tom, what do we know about the man arrested?
Well, Michael, a 47-year-old from Werribee was taken into custody today. As I stand here tonight, he's still under police custody, but I must stress no charges have yet been laid. In fact, police are still continuing with their investigations here, and in fact they're calling on anyone who was at the scene to please head to the police station and give more information, because we understand there was a lot more that went on just before this film was taken. Michael?
That's important. Tom Chadwick, Melbourne, thank you for that. 18 people have been arrested across southwest Sydney over a sophisticated daycare fraud racket. Let's bring in Serena Andaloro now. Serena, they were allegedly claiming government benefits for children who didn't exist. Is that correct?
Yeah, Michael, it's astonishing. It's alleged directors and employees of the childcare centre chain were collecting funds from the federal government, so ripping off taxpayers. Police say it was a sophisticated and coordinated syndicate, and they'd been raking in around $5 million. Now, after an 8-month investigation, police pounced. They conducted sweeping raids across southwest Sydney, arresting 18 people, 15 women, 3 men, and they've all been charged as part of a criminal organisation. They'll be facing court in the coming weeks.
So, Serena, what do you know about the subsidy itself? How was that meant to have worked?
Well, Michael, it is a subsidy that's given by the federal government to childcare providers, and it's meant to be passed on to parents as a fee reduction. But in this case, it's alleged that it was being pocketed over a long period of time, and this is a problem that authorities are saying is quite common. They've seen it many times in the past few years. They've seen 21 people convicted on similar charges in recent years, and there are still several cases in the courts.
Well, a lot of arrests there, 18 people. Obviously, a lot of police work went into that as well. OK, Serena in Sydney, thank you for that. Well, 4 months ago, a Facebook video shocked Australia. That's it there. 2 emotional farmers holding dead cod from the Darling River at Menindee. Millions of decades-old native fish were killed following a toxic blue-green algae outbreak caused by the alleged mismanagement of the Murray-Darling Basin. The farmers aren't shy in pointing fingers.
This bloody atrocious. This has nothing to do with drought. This is a man-made disaster brought to you by the New South Wales Government, the federal government and the Murray-Darling Authority.
Well, now the government's starting to feel the heat and promising to help replenish the fish populations. And we're joined by Kate McBride, the 21-year-old behind the video, which helped raise certainly global attention to this crisis. Kate, good evening. Thanks for joining The Latest.
Thank you for having me on.
Well, look, the federal government has promised a $5 million hatchery for Menindee. Is this going to help, or is it too little too late?
What I think your viewers need to understand is that Menindee Lakes is the most important fish hatchery in the entire Murray-Darling Basin. Now, 80% of the golden perch from the entire Murray-Darling come out of these lakes. So these a natural lakes that have been there for millions of years, and for us to now try and take these fish and put them in a fish tank, I just don't think's right. I mean, we need to look after nature. We need to get our government to be looking after these lakes. They're currently planning to decommission them. So rather than putting these fish in tanks, I really do hope that they look at bettering the Menindee Lakes.
So does this go anywhere to helping the problem at all?
Look, I think we still don't know how bad the actual problem is. I mean, we saw 3 mass fish kills, 2 of them over 1 million fish died. Now, we don't know what impacts this is going to have on the entire basin for a very long time. I think scientists are still trying to work that out. So, look, hopefully it does, and if they do continue with it, then, look, at least it's something. But ultimately, I think we really do need to look after the natural fish hatchery that is the Menindee Lakes.
Not just about the fish, though, is it, Kate? There's also fears from locals using the water?
Absolutely. So our lakes are currently down to 1.1% capacity, and we've got red alert for blue-green algae right along the lower Darling. We've got big problems, and unfortunately the current government still isn't making a big effort to get this fixed. So we've got some big problems out there, but we're just so glad that Australians have come on board and really want to know what's going on, and we've got so many people trying to help us out. Let
me just check that number again. You skipped past it. You're saying 1.1% of capacity. That's all the water?
Absolutely.
That's it?
Yeah. That's it. And so the flows coming out of Menindee Lakes have now completely ceased. So where I'm from at Tyrone Station is the lower Darling. Yeah. And so our river is completely dry now. We've got the odd pool of blue-green algae-filled water, but we're in a really bad position.
Well, we're in the middle of a federal election. I'd presume then that both the leaders have rushed out there and helped you. Have they been there?
No, unfortunately. We have had Tony Burke come out during these fish kills, but unfortunately we haven't had anyone from the current government come out. I have invited the Prime Minister to come out. I mean, this was, you know, this is an emergency. People haven't got clean drinking water, and every single Australian should have the right to clean drinking water. So he hasn't replied to me yet about whether he will come out yet, but we are really hoping, because Menindee people are doing it really tough, and people all along the Darling as well. You look at Wilcannia, they've got a life expectancy of 37 for males. And that's in Australia.
Yeah.
We're living like a third world country right now, and I really hope that our politicians do make an effort to come out.
You would think then that Scott Morrison and Bill Shorten would have been out there, but you're saying neither during this campaign have visited what is one of our great crises at the moment.
No, neither have come out.
All right, what's your message to both of them then?
I think ultimately we do need a federal royal commission to get to the bottom of what's going on, and we need the Menindee Lakes to be protected into the future. But what I think that I really want them to know is the fact that, you know, there are people out in Western New South Wales, and we're not just going to roll over. There's a real feeling that people have made decisions in Sydney and that they affect the people in Western New South Wales, and that we were just going to roll over and die and deal with it. But we're not. We've got the most incredible communities out there. We've got so many amazing people that have stood up, and we're not going to stop fighting until they fix what they've set wrong.
Good luck. We'll check in with you again, Kate, and thank you so much for joining the latest this evening.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our final frame, any guesses? Well, here it is. It's the new royal bub. We had to show a few more. Some great still shots out this evening as well. Yet to have his name revealed. That'll come in the coming days, we're told. A little boy was shown off today by his proud parents that we showed you at the start of the show. He will, without doubt, have his photograph splashed across the front pages of most newspapers around the world tomorrow, and no doubt seeing a lot more of him in coming days, months and years. And just a bit of a trip down memory lane there. There's Diana presenting Prince Harry on the left for the first time in 1984, and Harry with his young son, and Meghan's hand there. It's a lovely positive story to wrap up our Wednesday evening, and that is why that little guy, no name yet, raw baby, Sussex, is our final frame this evening.
Joyful day. Welcome back to Sunrise. It's a special morning. Still to come, we're going to introduce you to Archie, Harrison, Mountbatten, Windsor. Meghan and Harry introduce their son to the world.
We're just so thrilled to have our own little bundle of joy.
I mean, I have the two best guys in the world, so I'm really happy.
The Duke cradled his newborn baby while the Duchess praised her little boy.
He has the sweetest temperament. He's really calm and...
He gets that from.
Yeah, and he's just been the dream, so it's been a special couple of days.
It was the moment we've all been waiting for.
And then the proud parents took Archie to meet the Queen overnight. Prince Philip was there, Meghan's mum Doria, everyone, all smiles, and we have all the pictures.
We have team coverage this morning. Eddie and 7 News Europe correspondent Laurel Irving join us from Windsor, and 7 News Europe Bureau Chief Hugh Whitfeld is at Buckingham Palace. Eddie, very exciting time for this little family.
Very exciting times. It did look a little bamboozled, like all new parents probably look at this stage. Sam, very, very exciting times. He will be known as Master Archie. No formal title, but a very formal setting for his first photo call. St George's Hall, where just a year ago this month, Harry and Meghan celebrated their wedding.
Oblivious to all the fuss, fast asleep in Dad's arms, meet Archie, Harrison, Mountbatten, Windsor.
It's magic. It's pretty amazing, and I mean, I have the two best guys in the world, so I'm really happy.
So far, it seems he takes after his mum.
He has the sweetest temperament. He's really calm and...
He gets that from.
Yeah, and he's just been the dream, so it's been a special couple of days.
The press were given 10 seconds to take photos and 3 questions. In the end, the new parents just kept talking about who he looks like.
We're still trying to figure that out.
Everyone says that babies change so much over 2 weeks. We're basically sort of monitoring how the changing process happens over this next month, really. But his looks are changing every single day. Yeah. So who knows?
And what it's like to be a parent.
Parenting is amazing. It's only been, what, 2.5 days, 3 days?
Yeah.
But we're just so thrilled to have our own little bundle of joy and to be able to spend some precious times with him as he slowly starts to grow up.
These photos have now been shared around the world, plus some extras taken by the couple's own photographer, Chris Allerton, who shot their wedding after party and this iconic photo.
I hate you're off to see two special people in a minute, the Queen and the Duke.
Yes, and we just bumped into the Duke as we were walking by, which was so nice. So it'll be a nice moment to introduce the baby to more family, and my mom's with us as well. So it's been a really good.
Another great grandchild.
Yes. Can we have a little peek at him? We just can't quite see his face.
He's already got a little bit of facial hair as well. Wonderful.
The Queen gave the name Archie the royal seal of approval.
Thank you. And thank you everybody for all the well wishes and the kindness. It just means so much. Thank you.
Now, Laurel, will Archie have an official title?
He'll be plain old Master Archie. He won't be His Royal Highness like William's children. That may come down the track if Prince Charles decides to make it so, but at this stage not. There was some conjecture that he might become the Earl of Dunbarton, which was one of Harry's titles. But Harry and Meghan said no, we just want no titles. We want him to grow up as normal as possible. Archie is a name they simply liked. It has a little bit of American heritage. It's modern, it's strong, it's fresh. Harrison is quite literally Harry's son, and Mountbatten Windsor is a surname that's used by several of the Queen's descendants, including Prince Edward's kids. But at this stage, plain old Master Archie, just a regular kind of guy.
It's a great name. He's got a cute little face, hasn't he? Hugh, don't you think, Koshi?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, very cute.
Look at his little face.
Looks
so
like
sweet.
so many 3-day-old babies.
Oh, but isn't that... Look at his little nose. He is quite perfect. You can see why this.
I think he looks like Philip.
Now you're being stupid. Hugh, what's next for the Sussex family?
Well, Sam, Harry's off back to work. He's going to the Netherlands in just a few hours for this Invictus Games trip, a year out from that cause that's so close to his and Meghan's heart. If you like those photos of Archie, guess what's on the front page of all the papers here tomorrow morning? The Metro saying, it's Archie, with that fabulous family shot on the front cover tomorrow. The Mirror has that same family shot with the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. Hello, Archie. It says Harry, Meghan and her mum introduce new baby to the Queen. The Daily Telegraph sticks with that shot for Instagram saying meet Archie Harrison. The Daily Mail says it's Archie the adorable. The Express says Archie meets the Queen. This photo is dominating the front pages except for the Daily Star. Now this is the paper that the other day said American actress has baby on the front cover. This time they say cute baby gets name. I think they're spoil sports, if you ask me.
I agree. That's a bit narky, isn't it?
I like that the woman from the Celebrity Jungle Show. All right, thanks to all of you. Check in soon.